Christopher Nolan is one of the most important filmmakers working right now. Few other directors out there are able to command $200 million budgets or to make movies based on original, non superhero screenplays. And fewer still are able to do so with such quality and style. Yeah, Nolan ranks up there with Quentin Tarantino, Steven Spielberg, and Martin Scorsese as one of the greats who continues to make big budget blockbuster movies that don't conform to anyone's expectations. And with the release of Tenet out in theaters now, well, today, we're going to go through every last Christopher Nolan movie, ranking them from worst to best, or at least worst by Nolan movie standards, which means that it's still a really good movie. And like always, this is just my opinion, but I think my opinion is pretty spot on. So let's get started. Insomnia, a remake of a Norwegian thriller, has a reputation as a minor Nolan movie. A Nolan with a lowercase n. After all, there's very little of his time futzing trademark, and zero Michael Caine. I know, shocking. But if you give it another go, you'll see that it's a great little psychological study of a man on the edge, full of haunting imagery and featuring an incredible performance by Robin Williams as a friendly looking killer. Basically, don't sleep on it. Long before he went on to make some of the biggest movies of all time, Christopher Nolan made one of the smallest. But despite its micro budget, reportedly only $6,000, his debut is unmistakably Nolan. A sly, paranoid crime story told in non chronological order, filled with twists that unfold right until the very last second. The movie centers around a man who goes out, looks for interesting people, and just follows them. But when one of his stalking subjects turns out to be a slick criminal, it's not long before our lead is groomed into becoming a burglar. Following is a particularly Hitchcockian noir movie, and coming in at only 69 minutes, it's a brief but powerful introduction to someone who'd go on to do much, much bigger things. But it sets the guideline for what makes a Nolan movie from the very beginning. The first entry in Nolan's Bat trilogy often gets forgotten in conversations about Heath Ledger's Joker or the ending of The Dark Knight Rises. But not only did Batman Begins build a new Gotham, home to an emotionally interesting Bruce Wayne and genuinely nightmare-inducing Scarecrow, it also gave Bale's Batman a compelling enough origin story and mission to kick off the three-film run. This one did huge box office numbers for good reason. There's nothing necessarily groundbreaking here, sure, but it's a smart blockbuster that had a whole lot of influence even for getting its sequels. The final part of Nolan's Batman trilogy was always going to struggle to live up to its predecessor, but it's gripping from the get-go. The plane hijacking scene is top 5 in the entire trilogy. The plot picks up 8 years after The Dark Knight. Batman has taken the blame for Harvey Dent's killing spree and has been forced into hiding ever since. But when Bane arrives in the city, the Caped Crusader is forced out of retirement in order to save Gotham one last time. It's as visually stunning as its predecessor, with some jaw-dropping set pieces. But the plot is a little more confusing than necessary, and try as he might, Hardy's Bane is no match for Heath Ledger's Joker. After conquering Gotham and delving into the deepest depths of the subconscious in Inception, there was nowhere to go but up. Enter Interstellar, a movie that's arguably Nolan's most epic work, yet simultaneously his most intimate movie. It envisions a future Earth facing annihilation as a crop deficit threatens global starvation. With this in mind, Matthew McConaughey's Cooper is sent out on an intergalactic mission. Head into the cosmos, explore a wormhole, and find a new home for humanity among the stars. While you can scoff at its admittedly out there final act, Nolan's able to use his biggest and boldest ideas to tell an emotional father daughter story. The scene in which Cooper catches up on some old video messages is completely tear jerking in a way that few Nolan films are. Right smack in between Batman Begins and The Dark Knight, Nolan gave us this tale of obsession, rivalry, and the power of illusion. Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale star as competing magicians in the Victorian age, each intent on one upping the other and discovering their secrets, no matter the cost. Bearing Nolan's trademark jumbled chronology, the movie is set up like an illusion itself, laid out in Michael Caine's exposition as the pledge, the setup, the turn, the surprise twist, and the prestige, the big reveal. If this seems like another Nolan with a lowercase n compared to his more traditional blockbusters, it really isn't. It's just as exhilarating as any of his action spectacles. It's a film about what it means to have the audience in the palm of your hand, to deliver something they never expected. All the ingenious machinations hidden away to create something that, on the surface, could only be a pure magic. And that's Christopher Nolan through and through. Tenet isn't necessarily the savior of cinema, but it is really good fun. A kind of James Bond movie mixed with time travel. You follow the protagonist, played by John David Washington, Denzel Washington's son, as he tries to stop a Russian supervillain from destroying the universe. The logic of the pseudoscience that drives the film's time travel is completely impenetrable. But, like I said in the movie, don't try to understand it. Feel it. Instead, the film stands out for its ability to breathe new life into tired action movie set pieces, like heists and car chases, as it runs them simultaneously backwards and forwards through time. Don't try to understand it, feel it. On paper, Memento is a concept so highfalutin that you kind of have to wonder how Nolan ever managed to get it made in the first place. So it's going backwards, but also forwards, and it's in color, but also black and white, and it starts at the end, but also the middle, and finishes at the beginning. Any film that needs to be explained with diagrams doesn't really scream bankable blockbuster. And yet, the confusing structure of Memento isn't a bug, it's a feature, inspired by our narrator Leonard, whose amnesia gives the film its completely disorienting structure. Nolan's always been fascinated with the nature of time and how we can tamper with it through cinema. But I don't think he's ever done it as successfully or as satisfyingly as Memento. Nolan came up with the idea for Dunkirk in the mid 1990s, but waited decades before attempting to make it simply because of the scale of the production involved. Like Memento, he adopts an unusual structure. The film is split into three sections set on land, sea, and air, playing out over a week, a day, and an hour, respectively, as hundreds of thousands of British troops are waiting for evacuation during World War II. It's gripping, visually stunning, and unlike a lot of Nolan movies, surprisingly and genuinely emotional. After building a whole new Gotham in Batman Begins, Christopher Nolan introduced a clown who was gonna tear the whole thing down. Despite being a Batman movie, The Dark Knight is absolutely the Joker's show. with the late great Heath Ledger putting it a visceral, transformative, truly terrifying performance as the clown prince of crime. The movie is filled with iconic moments, from the car chase that culminates in a truck being flipped on its head to the infamous pencil scene. Heath Ledger did win critical acclaim for his portrayal of the Joker, but what the film really succeeds at is creating an atmosphere. Everything from the cinematography to the score slowly ramps up the tension as the stakes get higher for everyone involved. It's a masterpiece, even if you don't like superhero movies. Emboldened by the success of The Dark Knight, Christopher Nolan went to a place that only he could, several layers into his own subconscious. Leonardo DiCaprio is Dom Cobb, a criminal who's got a talent for hacking into people's dreams and stealing their secrets. But his latest job will be more complex than ever before, planting an idea inside the mind while he sleeps, aided by a team of gunslingers, architects, and thieves. The result is part Bond movie, part action spectacle, part mind bending psychological thriller, playing out across multiple dream layers. A house of cards that threatens to topple at any moment as Cobb's own brain glitch. The guilt ridden memory of his dead wife Maul brings its own complications into the heist. It's a masterpiece that only could have been made by Christopher Nolan. It's the most Christopher Nolan movie out there, and therefore I think it's the best Christopher Nolan movie. But what do y'all think? I would love to hear your thoughts. Sign off down in the comments down below. What else would y'all like to see? Sign off down below, and I will see you next time.